Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be taking this Five Nights at Freddy's action figure of Foxy from Funko and giving it the torso articulation it needs like I did with my other Five Nights at Freddy's action figures. Because in the games and the movie you can clearly see that it has the articulation in the torso, so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be giving Foxy his torso articulation. First off, here are the materials you will need. You need Foxy, obviously, but wait. For ease of access, we're going to have to remove his head and his limbs. This is quite easy to do, because that's what the action figures were made for, to be taken apart and put back together. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're just going to remove the limbs from the ball sockets. And we're going to set those aside for now. So after we have the torso, what we're going to need is something to cut with. At first I considered this cutter knife because it's sharp, but always be careful. Never do this on your own. Always get the help of an adult. Got it? Good. Okay, so let's continue. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide it like this using a back and forth motion. But after this, I realized that the cutter knife was kind of dull, so I just opted instead to use this kitchen knife with jagged edges. It cuts through the plastic better and faster, so I'd rather use that. But wait, remember what I said earlier, always use the help of an adult. Never do this on your own, okay? Good. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to cut through the plastic like this. Be careful, as there might be like microplastics and dust and stuff from the figure as you cut it, so be careful of that, don't breathe it in. As you can see, I got the knife that I used previously, the one that I considered before, and used it as a sturdy base because my bed is all I have. I don't really have a cutting table. Moving on, we'll just use that as a base for now to help cut more securely without messing up my bed. And remember to always watch your fingers while doing this. Nobody wants to cut themselves. Okay, so after we have that initial cut, we're going to cut the sides now, and then we can just break it off from the back part. But got it? But always be careful, okay? Good. Here I am cutting the sides now, as you can see. And after you've made that final cut, you can just pry it open with your fingers here. But in order to help us, we're going to use the kitchen knife. Wedge the dull side into the crack you've made, and then pry it open from there, using it as a wedge. And then you can just use your fingers to open it up, crack it off the back, and there, you now have two Foxy halves, the pelvic area and the torso. Before adding the joints, there's one thing we must do first, and that is to sand off the rough corners. For this, we're going to use this sanding stick my brother made for me by gluing some sandpaper onto a popsicle stick. Now we're just going to sand the rough edges so they're nice, round, and smooth, so that they don't jag into each other or cut anything. And now that you've cut the pieces and sanded them, I'm going to show you now what joints we're going to be using to attach the pieces together again. So we're going to be using this Lego ball and socket joint. It'll provide the necessary hip rotation that's shown in the movies and the games. Since I already cut them, I'm going to show you how. So I use these needle nose pliers, specifically the wire cutter part, and I cut the pieces near the joints themselves. You can do that by yourself probably, but it's still best that you use the help of an adult. So how exactly are we going to attach the joints to each different area? I'm going to show you that now. We're going to start with the hip area first. So get all 3 of your pieces, technically 4 of them if you count the separate joints, but get them onto a flat cardboard base or whatever table that you're using. We're going to use this hot glue gun to use hot glue to secure the joints inside of each orifice that's inside of the hollow shell. So just turn it on and always be careful because it's very hot. So once your hot glue gun heats up, always be careful because it's very hot. We're going to put some hot glue into the orifice, like so. Just put a big glob in there. And we're going to take the ball joint. Remember, the ball, it goes into hip and the socket goes into torso, if you want the best results. So we're just going to put it in there. But first, make sure, while the hot glue dries, make sure that it's centered. You don't want it to be uneven and then not look good when you're rotating it. Okay, now that it's centered, what we're going to do is we're going to leave it to dry now. Got it? Okay. Shouldn't take longer than like 10 minutes or something. Now that we have the ball joint in there, and you make sure it's completely centered, that's pretty much everything done for now. So moving on to the torso, we can't just glue it onto that tube in the middle because then it would be very fragile and possibly break. So what we're going to do is, instead of gluing onto the tube, we're going to make an adapter that fits onto the tube. And then from there we can glue the socket on. I'll show you how to do that now. So first off, you're going to need some scissors, some good old scissors, and then you're going to need some cardboard. Not too thick, but not too thin either. So what you're going to do is cut it into a square that fits into the same size. As you can see, I made it too big, so we're going to cut it down to a smaller size. This works. As you can see, it fits perfectly in there. So after you have your cardboard square, what we're going to do now is we're going to take an index card and we're going to cut it into 2 strips using the scissors. And we're going to roll them up into little tubes. We're going to roll them up, yeah. So here's one of the strips done, rolled up, but the most important thing, we're going to need 2 of them. Yeah, that's right, 2. Not just 1, 2. Here they are, 2 of them. 2 of them, yeah. So we have 1 and we have 2. I'll just zoom in on them so you can see them better. They're just rolled up strips of index card. So we're going to place the cardboard here, we're going to place the tubes here, and I'm sure you can get the idea on where you're going. The tube is going to go in the middle of the index card rolls. So now we're going to take some super glue. I use crazy glue here, but any super glue works. And we're going to put some on the side here, like so. And then we're going to put one of the rolls on the super glue. We're just going to press it there because super glue works with pressure. Like, the more you press down on it, the more likely it's going to cure faster. Then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. We're going to take our roll, make sure it's good, and then we're going to put the super glue on the cardboard. But be careful, make sure you don't stick it on your fingers. You don't want, like, super glue sticking on your fingers and then that's going to be a whole mess that you're going to have to clean up afterwards. I'd rather you not go through that trouble. So after that, we have the adapter pretty much done. As you can see, the tube is going to go in the middle here of the 2 index rolls. So we're going to take the adapter and we're going to put it on the tube, but this is the idea. It's just going to fit onto that tube right there. But of course we're not just going to have it loosely fitting on there, are we? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take some hot glue using our hot glue gun, and we're going to put a small glob in the middle, right there. And then we're going to take it, be extra careful to make sure it's not uneven or anything, and then we're going to press it on there. Make sure it's even, flat with the surface, that way, as you can see, some of it got on my fingers, but that's okay, because it was kind of cooling down already. But anyways, we're just going to make sure it's even, and then we're going to set it to dry for a bit after that's done. So as you can see, it's even, like flat surface, and for there we can glue the socket on. I'll show you how to do that in a bit. But first, we're going to have to sand the socket down, the base of the socket, so it's a flat surface as well. That way the glue can work perfectly. So as you can just watch me sand it here for a minute. And now, since we've sanded it, it's flat now. Kind of rough, but still flat. Now that we have the flat surface on the base of the ball socket, that's good. Now we can move on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put some hot glue on the cardboard piece where we're going to place the socket. Make sure it's centered in the middle. Just put a little bit there, not too much. And make sure it doesn't get everywhere. And now what you're going to do is you're going to place the socket on the glob. Press it down. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now that we have the socket placed there and secure, we can now test out the functionality. We're just going to pop that on there, and now you have your connection point finished. But first, wait, we need to fill in this ugly gap. I'll show you how to do that because we can't have that ugly gap. We're going to use this piece of cardboard. We're going to like round it off here to add some thickness to Foxy's pelvic area. So first we're going to give the cardboard a much needed curve so that it aligns better with the natural curve of Foxy's pelvic area. We're just going to massage the cardboard like so, and we're going to put it into a curve. And now here what we're going to do is we're going to put some hot glue onto the edge of the pelvic area. Just be extra careful, you don't get it on the outside, just right on the edge. And then you're going to attach it there. Just be extra careful that it's facing directly upwards. You don't want any slanted surfaces. It's gonna look unnatural, and it's gonna get in the way later on. Just make sure it's facing upwards. Like directly upwards. And now you're just going to keep on applying hot glue to the perimeter, and then you're just going to keep attaching the cardboard onto it, onto the hot glue. sometimes you're going to have a bit of an excess, but what you can do is that you can just cut that off there. We're just going to press the hot glue into place first, so it's nice and secure, but see, we have an excess. As you can see here, I wasn't being very careful and I accidentally cut my finger. That's why you always be careful. Watch your fingers. But it's nothing much, it's just a little scratch. It wasn't bleeding or anything. So, after you cut off the excess, you can notice that there's a bit of peeling from the excess. So you can just apply hot glue there and it'll fix it up right up for you. Now, this doesn't happen all the time, but just in case, I'm just going to let you know if this does happen. And now you're just going to apply a last bit of hot glue onto the cardboard to secure it in place. And you're just going to play around with it to make sure that it's nice and aligned, you know? Yeah. Cut off a bit more of excess there. Watch your fingers. And now you have your connection point. As you can see, I was kind of confused with the orientations. You gotta understand which one's the front and which one's the back. As you can see here, I finally figured out which one was the front and which one was the back. The back of the pelvic area usually has a wider butt area, and the front has like a more slim area. You can just connect that there, and there we go. We have that done. But wait! Now we need to paint the cardboard so it doesn't look ugly. We're just going to have a little time-lapse here of my brother painting. You can take it away from here.
Well, thanks, bro. What's good, Venom fans? What's up, symbiote enthusiasts? Hello, internet, and welcome to Painting Foxy, I guess. Yeah, I'm just painting here. Most of this is just me color mixing, trying to match an exact shade of blue on Foxy's torso, which isn't exactly easy. Plus, I gotta do the purples, but more on that later. So, for now, I'm just mixing the purples, and now here's where we actually apply a couple of coats of the base blue onto Foxy's cardboard area. Okay, the blue base is done now. Now I just have to mix the purples. And on top of that, we have to blend it, but again, more on that later. Okay, purple's done. Now we actually put in the color. And then we also have to blend it in to make sure it matches the texture on the original mold of his torso. By the way, you should subscribe if you haven't already. The button's right there, and it's completely free. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers soon, and it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Anyways, we should also add some red because the purple parts are more reddish. And we still have to blend it in so that it matches. We want it to be a seamless fit with the rest of his body. We want it to look as similar as possible. And that should be it. The paint job is done. Now it just has to dry. Back to you, bro.
So now that you've let the paint dry on the pelvic area, it's time to assemble the animatronic. You're just going to pop the pelvis right onto the torso. And you're going to pop the legs back on. You can do this in whatever order you want. You're going to pop the arms on. You could pop the arms on first. I don't really care. Doesn't matter to me. But you can do whatever. And then you can just watch me struggle with the head for a bit. Relax, I didn't break anything. And there you have it, your new and improved Five Nights at Freddy's action figure with torso articulation. This was really fun to work on, especially recording the process and everything, and I hope you enjoyed it too. As you can see, Foxy can now be put in more dynamic poses and is overall more accurate when compared to the games and the movie. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do, so for now, goodbye!